welcome to my course about the Sicilian Defense from beginner to master. So this course will be divided up into 3 sections. The first one will be the fundamentals of the Sicilian Variation. We're going to be talking about the hyper accelerated dragon. So that comes up with E4, best by test by Bobby Fischer, C5, the Sicilian Defense, knight F3, most often seen by white, the second move. Now G6. This is a opening that we're talking about. The first chapter will be just outlining how to play with it for the beginner players, but this is again for every single range of players from beginner to master. So this is for the startup. So the second section will be about the anti-Sicilians. They don't play knight F3, the second move. They play rather C3, the Alpin. They play D4, the Smith-Morr gambit. They do knight C3 or F4, and then followed by F4. This Grand Prix attack. They can do D3. This basically leading to King's Indian attack with knight D2, G3, things like that. And also B4, let's say the wing gambit. These are all covered in section 2 of this course. And the third section is the pain points. If they go knight F3, we go G6. These are talking about the pain points of why people say, okay, if you're playing against a hyper accelerated dragon, this is how to crush it. There's 2 variations in particular we're going to talk about. The first one is after this one takes, then queen d4, attacking the rook on h8. This is a pain point. If you don't know how to play against this one, this is a really good chance for miniature from white, and black is unsuspected, but we're just going to teach you the antidote. The second one is after knight takes c4, they go bishop b7, and now c4. A lot of people, especially the most experienced players, will know that people hear all the time, if you face up against this hyper accelerated dragon, just play the Maraxi bind. You're going to be making them miserable, and you're going to have, at let's say the very least, a draw, not a loss. They're going to not win against you, but you're going to bore them to death, and having a boring time for them, but fun time for you, because you're going to win, crush them positionally, and the game is over for them. So I'll have an antidote for you to just play for the win. Again, we're striving for the win, and hopefully you enjoy this course and enjoy the Sicilian to take up as your main weapon to play as a win for block. Now for fundamentals of this hyper accelerated dragon, why don't we talk about the main line first? So we go after e4, c5, knight f3, g6, they go d4. We take d4. We're talking about the main, most popular moves for both sides. Let's introduce this to us for the beginners of this opening. Later on, we'll just go more in depth for the advanced players, but this is for the basically the bare bones minimum you want to know before you play this opening. So this one, we go knight c6. It's important to have this pattern in mind. You do queenside knight first to c6 before the knight from the king side goes to f6. You want to watch out for this e5 square with knights. So this is a very good pattern to recognize, and it occurs all the time. Knight c3, bishop e7, attacking d4 twice, so they have to do something about that. So they go bishop e3, defending that knight. We're going f6, and e5 is out of control. Knight f6 is good, so we're going to castle kingside. So they go bishop c4, and really eyeing this square is really vulnerable, but this one we just castle, no problems here. Bishop e3 is the main line, preserving the long diagonal bishop there, and just honing in a safety square, no a6 b5 tempos on the bishop, and this is the main line. So a5 anyways, they go castling kingside, and now we choose to go d6 to actually control e5 rather. And also maybe possibly bishop b4. Some lines bishop b4 is really helpful. But then white goes, in this variation, the most popular move that white does is this one, knight db5. What we do is really thematic, is b6. Why do we do that? We want to have an eye on the e4 square with bishop b7. So bishop b7 is looking at the backside of our knight. But the center is where the action is happening. So it goes there and aiming it there. And this is where we want to go and play. Easy does it. So d6 is eyeing on d5. And also bishop e7 is also aiming at this e4 pawn. So this exception for this knight db5 now b6 is really assuredly the play as black. So they go f3. The blocking no g4 axis for anything, no knights, no bishops. They go for us knight c7 to unleash our bishop g7, and also maybe knight c5. You'll see is really helpful. Not to mention that is also guarding this one extra with a queen. So this is also all around helpful. They go bishop b5, ping our knight on c6. We just block that pin, undo the pin with the bishop b7 move like we planned. So they go queen e2, and they want to just do a battery, maybe h6 with the bishop will happen. We go knight c5 like we want to do anyways, so we're not going to do anything unusual. And you see this extra e5 move blocks this b4 push as well. So this knight c5 is really nifty here, and it really belongs. So at this one, rook a d1, we go queen d7, and now the rooks are connected. White had it a long time ago, but now black has connected rooks. That means, for most openings, this is no exception for us, that we're ready to attack the enemy king. So this one, I'll show you how black try to play for the win in this really pure line example of the main line. So white can go a4 to make sure that we fixed, well, they fixed the pawn on a5. No, we're going to, a4. Then we go rook out, like ac8. Basically, the rooks love files, or half files is better. So this is with a fixation of the pawns. There's no reason why the rook has to be on a8. Maybe more possible, more, let's say, helpful is to go on c8. So they go rook if e1. We go knight b4. They go b3. Just a little fire thing. We go bishop takes d5. Why do we do that? After this one trade, we go this cool shocker move, knight takes c4. And you probably think that this doesn't make any sense, but you know what? You want to real attacks on this square on c2 as well. And this is also hitting the queen on d2. So we can't, as white, take anything for granted. You have to be careful. So we sacrifice knight for 2 pawns after knight rook takes c2. Then they go just try to be fancy. Knight takes c7 check. We just take that one. They go queen e6, and then just try to return a little bit material back, but we're still gonna win with queen takes e4. And we have a checkmate threat in the air right now. So black is really in the driver's seat. Initiative, control of the game is where black is striving here for. So white is really, really in trouble. So let's continue on. If you don't believe me, but basically I'll say just for this, early moments that black is really, really better. So we'll see why. He's on 1 pawn, but we'll see why is this so bad for white in a moment. So bishop f2, just a really revealing attack, discover attack on the queen. We go queen f5, queen b6, and they put a pawn. Trying to threaten to take another pawn. The pawns are even, but it doesn't matter. We're still winning. After knight d5, attacking the queen on b6, saying, take that pawn. And they says, okay, no, I'll just do knight d6, attacking your queen. You want a queen trade? That'll be not a win for you. And I says, no, I want to have a win for us. The queen takes the h5 square and posting up in a really, really strong square. And we'll see after this one. So let's say queen b5 was played in the game. We'll go bishop e5, aiming at the spy on h2 with queen and bishop. It's oh no moment. So now they go, it doesn't matter if they took the pawn a5, this is still the same. Bishop e5 will be played. h3, they go knight c3. This is extra bad with a fork with a bishop and the, let's say, the rook on d1. So queen takes c5. They try to take the, let's say, the bishop. We take this queen. We take in d1, and it's basically overall. Look at the material count. We're up. We have really more easier chances to play for the win. We're taking f2 as well. Not to mention we have temples of the bishop, and there's no problem for us to try to play for the win. Is black. And this is one example for the main line that black is going to be trying to play for the win.